Hello, Analia, Sam, and um, whoever else, Ava, anyone else missing one of the recent classes. This video is going to be the first and the second lesson in the third declension combined, just to save me a little bit of time and effort. So it will have two homework assignments given in it. Okay. Um, This is the third declension. Um, a recent homework was to do exercise 27, which was, or sorry, either 27 or 29, depending on the class. It was either the map of the Roman Empire and the short little paragraph that goes with it, or the picture of Jesus and Mary and God in heaven with Christians on the ground praying, and the little paragraph that goes with that. It depended on what you were assigned. Okay, and so please send me that, whichever way you can get it to me. And so after that, we are beginning the third declension. And so here it is. Okay. Now, I'm going to have you start a new page in your notes if you haven't done this already. Sam, I think you have already done this. So you're going to want to skip ahead until I'm talking about, or until I'm doing the second lesson. And unfortunately, I can't tell you when that will be. I'll post it on Google Classroom, though. I'll let you know after I finish making the video, and I can tell you skip ahead to this time, okay? So the endings for the third declension are various, is, and so it's not is, right? It's not is like we saw for an ending in the previous declensions. It's is without the macron on it. And of course, we saw the is other places. We saw it here and we saw it here. But now this is an is, and this is the telltale ending for third declension. So all third declension words, no exceptions, will end in is. Okay, various is, e, m, a. And that a doesn't have a macron. And the song that we're going to use to memorize these endings of the third declension is to the tune of Bingo. Okay? And the song's going to go like this. Various is EMA, various is EMA, various is EMA, singular for third declension. Okay? And you're going to repeat that again 3 times for the plural side. And the plural side goes ace, ibis, ace, ibis. Okay, so it's going to go ace, ibis, ace, ibis, ace, ibis, ace, ibis, ace, ibis, ace, ibis, plural, third declension. And so we're going to begin class with that several times. I'm going to ask you guys to spend a little time doing that song to yourselves, because that will help you memorize the endings. And then if you start with the correct endings on the top of the quiz, you'll have a hard time doing poorly on the rest of the quiz. So at this point, I'm going to have you look at it, probably by yourself, because you probably don't have anyone else there if you're watching this via video. But I'd like you to discuss with with yourselves, spend some time thinking about the similarities that you notice between the third declension endings and the previous declensions endings that you've studied so far. And so think of them for a second, and then I'm going to point out some that I noticed. But I'd like you to pause the video first to take note of the ones that you're finding. See if you find the same ones I do. Okay, so here is what I found. For the dative plural and the ablative plural, they're the same, even though ibis is different than is. They're at least the same as each other. And so whatever was here was also here in all the previous declensions. And so that is one. Another one would be the accusative singular. It was or it was now it's m, so it still has that m for the accusative singular. Another one that I noticed is the ablative. It was with a macron, or it was o with a macron. Now it's e. So it was just a single vowel. So at least we have that. Here it was arum for the first declension, and it was orum for the second declension. And now it's so at least it ends in um still. And can I think of any others? Here it was a vowel. It was either I, so it was two vowels, or it was O. Now it's E, so it's just a vowel here. And I'm thinking the east and the ibis. I'm thinking they both have s's with i's, so that's just another similarity. They're the same as each other, but there's similarities beyond that. So those are the similarities that I notice. Okay, nouns that are in the third declension may be. Oops, I forgot to change these back, but they were all supposed to be blanks, but they can be masculine, feminine, or neuter. Now, they can't be all three. They're going to be one of the three, but the third declension, in other words, it includes nouns of all three genders. So the first declension had feminine words mostly. There were some exceptions. And the second declension included masculine words and neuter words. And this declension includes words of all three. And then I've already shown you the song. So, all right, now it's time to give you some vocab that belongs to the third declension. Now, remember, we recently declined the word magister, magistri. And I told you magister, magistri is similar to how third declension words work, even though that word is a second declension word. And the way it works is because the way it's like a third declension word is the nominative is something a little different, right? And then the second declension, we're going to take the stem of that. We're going to take the ending off, and then whatever the stem of the word is going to be the start of all the rest of the words in the chart. And that is how the third declension works. And so when you're presented with a new vocab word, usually you're given the nominative and the nominative singular and the genitive singular together so that you can know what the nominative is, and then so you can know what the stem is of the rest of the forms. Okay? So lex legis is the first vocab word, and it means law. So lex is a law when the law is the subject, and legis means of the law. So I'm going to scroll down here. Below this chart, where you have this chart, below this chart, I would like you to make one more chart where you're actually going to decline lex legis. So lex is going to go here, legis is going to go here, and then leg is going to go, because the is the genitive singular ending, so we're going to take that off, and then leg is the stem. And we know that the rest of them are going to start with leg or ledge if you're using the ecclesiastical pronunciation. So ledge, 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 ledge. All right. So let's try and do our song. Various is e or is e m a. Okay. Various is e m a. Various is e m a. Okay. And what was the second part of our song? Ace ibis ace ibis ace um ace um ibis ace ibis. All right, and that is lex legis fully declined. Now, I should say that the e in leg has a macron, and I forgot to put that. It doesn't have it in lex though; only has it in where it has leg. Okay. Now, all the rest of the words in this vocab list are going to have endings like lex legis. Okay. So the next one is rex regis. And so this one's kind of the opposite. The nominative has the macron and the rest of them don't. It's not a rule. It's just something you got to know. I'm not going to take off points if you misspell with macrons anything in the stem of the word, really, as long as you're using the correct letters. Okay, so you should know this one. It means king. Dux ducis means leader. So dux is leader. Ducis means of the leader. Homo hominis means man, but it means man as in mankind. It doesn't mean man as in man, not a woman, because we know that vir, vir, vir is man as in man instead of woman. Imperator, imperatoris means emperor. Also, it says in your book that this word also means commander-in-chief. I'm not sure why. I had assumed that the emperor in the Roman Empire was also the commander-in-chief of the Roman army, but maybe that wasn't always the case throughout all of history. So I'm not sure why it's telling me it also means commander-in-chief. But just know that because some of the exercises, the ones that'll start in English, sometimes say like, with the commander-in-chief, and I don't want that to throw you for a loop. So it means emperor or commander-in-chief. Veritas, veritatis means the truth. Okay, there are two derivatives that I want to give you. Actually, a third derivative comes from the prayer booklet. Or it comes from the prayer that we're using these days, Veni Sancte Spiritus. The prayer starts, Veni Sancte Spiritus, reple tuorum corde fidelium. Reple means fill. So where it says, fill the hearts of your faithful, or thy faithful. So reple means fill in Latin. The word that comes from reple that I want you to add is replete, R-E-P-L-E. It's this word here, but with a T-E, replete. And replete is an adjective. Replete just means full of or abounding in. And so I'd like you to add that to your list. And here's an example of how it is used. The bishop of Peoria, Illinois, used to say whenever he had an ordination, he would always ordain the priest, and then he would say, the prayers or the blessings of a newly ordained priest are replete with extra special graces. And so I want to take those graces for myself, is how he would always say it. So right after ordaining these guys, he would have them bless him. So usually when you use the word replete, you're going to say replete with something. So the sky is replete with stars, or the pool is replete with algae. So those are some examples of of ways you could use replete, and I don't want you to waste any time thinking of other assignments and how you might work in some of these derivative words. So let me give you the two derivative words that come from the vocab. From rex regis, we get the word regal, and regal just means kingly or queenly. I mean, it works for kings or queens, but it comes from the word king. So regal. So if somebody was dressed in a purple robe, even if they're not a king, you might say, oh, he's dressed very regally, or he has a regal outfit on, or a regal manner about him, or something like that. So it could be how someone physically looks, how they're dressed. It could be also like how they act. Do they act like a monarch? Do they act very prim and proper, or something like that? Okay, now the derivative that comes from veritas veritatis is veritable, and veritable just means it's kind of in a way it kind of just means very, or it kind of means true. So he was a veritable friend. That means like he was a true friend in every sense of the word. And so that's one way you could use veritable. You might get some better ideas of these words' usage if you take a moment to look them up and look up some more definitions. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I want to be brief for the sake of this video. But please add regal and veritable to your list as well, along with their definitions and maybe a little note of how you might use it. Okay? All right, so let's take a look down here and let's try to use some of these new words. The teacher of laws. So, okay, we did magister, magistri before, and if I'm trying to say the teacher of laws, then I need the nominative. So the nominative of teacher is magister. Now we need of laws. So now I'm going to need the genitive, and I'm going to need the genitive plural. And here's law right in front of me. So the genitive plural is legum. So magister legum means the teacher of laws. The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Okay, so the King of Kings, I need to use the word king twice. I need to use the nominative, and then I need to use the genitive plural. So instead of lex, it's going to be rex. Oh, rex with a macron. Rex regum is the King of Kings. So I'm going to take legum and just make it regum. So I'm going to keep the same ending on it, right? So now I need to say, and the Lord of Lords. So et. Now, what's the word for Lord? It's the same as the word for master, right? Lord or master. So that's dominum or dominus, right? And I need the nominative first, just like I had the nominative of king first. So dominus. And what is the genitive plural of dominus? So domini is, that's genitive singular, dominorum. So dominorum would be of the kings, of kings. So the way to say the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords is rex regum et dominus dominorum. So there, now we've used some of these new words already. Okay. The homework assignment that goes, that's the end of the notes for this first day, this first lesson. The homework assignment that goes with this is exercise 31 in your book. It's on page 37. It's simply 21 words. The first one is legibus. And all it's asking you to do, homework, is you see legibus. It's asking you to tell the form that it is. And if I look at legibus, it's in there twice. It's either dative or ablative, plural. So I'm just going to pick one, ablative, plural, and give the meaning. So this is what I'd like your homework to look like. The original word that the book gave you, the form, and then the meaning. So ablative of the, or sorry, with the, and it's a plural, with the laws. So legibus, one meaning of legibus could mean with the laws. The second one, regum. Okay, that is, I look up here, legum is, I know it's lex legis that's here, but regum is genitive plural. So it's genitive plural, and it means of the kings. You could also say of kings. You don't have to include the. So of kings or of the kings. Right? So that is your homework for the first day. And you can get that to me if you're going to continue to be out. Well, I'm going to continue to be out all week. So get that to me any way you'd like if you're going to be out. It's just going to be checked. So I'm just letting you know ahead of time. So whoever you have in class is just going to go through and it's going to be checked for completion. So it's just a little easier that way. All right. Now let's go on to the next day's lesson. In the second lesson of this unit, we talked about gender, or we're talking about gender. The first declension, and I'd like you to add these to your notes. So new page here, which you're titling gender, and the third declension. The first declension was feminine, mostly. There were some exceptions, like nauta, which means sailor. And the reason it was an exception is because it literally means a masculine person. It means sailor, and a sailor is a masculine person usually. And so if a word means somebody with an actual biological gender, it's going to be that gender. All right. So otherwise, it's pretty much always feminine words. The second declension consisted of masculine and neuter words. Okay. And then now the third declension is going to consist of words of all the genders. And it's going to be important for you to be able to identify which words are which gender when you see a new third declension word. Okay? And so that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. Okay? So, sorry, let me just delete this chart here. All right. Words that are masculine or words that are feminine are declined like lex legis. So this lex legis is the model word for masculine and for feminine. There's another word, which you'll have very shortly, which is going to be the model model word for all neuter words. Okay, and that's pars partis. Pars partis means part. So partis means of the part. Okay, lex legum or lex legis. Lex legis. You already know how to decline. We've already done that. Oops, this is, need a row below here. Various E's, E, M, A. So let me try to do this here. Legem, lege. Okay. So this one would be leges. It's taking me a while to put in my macron. Ace, leges, legum, legibus, I'm going to copy that, put it down here. Leg, ace, ibis, ace, ibis. Okay, so ace. All right, I got it. So lex legis, if I know how to decline lex legis, I can decline all masculine and feminine words. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, I can say I know how to decline masculine and feminine words in the third declension. Pars partes, I'm not going to go into. Okay, I know that it's going to be partis here, and I know the rest of them are going to start with part. So I'm just going to fill those in. But I'm not actually going to give you what's different about these because we're just starting with the masculine and feminine. And that worked well for the second declension, right? Where I only gave you the masculine first and then I gave you the neuter later. So I'm going to do the same thing for pars partis. Okay, I'm just going to hold off on giving you that. All right. It is important to know the gender of third declension words for two reasons. Okay. Reason number one is, well, as you can see right here, if you can tell that the word is masculine or feminine, you're going to know that it's declined like this. So you're going to be able to decline other words in the third declension. But if you can recognize that it's a neuter word, you're going to know to decline it differently, like this word, once you learn it. So that is the first reason, because you'll know how to decline words, either the masculine feminine way or the neuter way, which is going to differ just slightly. Okay, that's the one reason. The second reason is right after we learn all the declensions, so there's a fourth and a fifth, right after we learn them, we're going to be talking about adjectives, and we're going to learn a rule that adjectives need to have the same gender ending as the words that they're describing. And so you'll be able to use adjectives. But I'm not going to show you that right now. Okay? So you'll just have to trust me that it's important to be able to know the gender of a word. And so I'm going to teach you 4 rules. And they are pretty simple rules. Okay? And we're going to try to, whoops, hang on. There. So I just had to fix something. We're going to try to apply those 4 rules to figure out the gender of some of these some of these third declension vocab words. Okay? So start with the first rule, the natural gender rule. The natural gender rule just says a word whose meaning is a male or female, so a word referring to a person, sometimes an animal, like obviously the word cow has to be a feminine word, but typically you're going to see a person. Some animals we don't really care, like grasshopper, we don't really make a distinction, but with cows we do make a distinction, and certain animals we do make a distinction. So sometimes this applies to animals too, but a word whose meaning is a male or a female, we'll say a biological male or female, is that gender. And so that just means a cow will be feminine, a bull will be masculine. The word rooster, whatever it is, will be masculine. The word for king will be masculine. The word for queen will be feminine. So that's a very simple rule. Also, we're going to apply the natural gender rule first. Okay? That means that it doesn't, when you learn the socks and the error and the lancet rule, when you learn these, even if those rules say a word should be a certain gender, but that word means something that's supposed to be masculine or supposed to be feminine, that rule is going to win, is basically. The natural gender rule trumps the other 3 rules. Okay? And we'll look at that. We'll look at some examples of one rule might say one thing, and then the natural gender rule might say something different. There'll be some examples of that below. Okay? So let's go to the next rule. The next rule is the SOX rule. All this rule means is that words whose nominative singular form, if the nominative singular form ends in S, O, or X, is feminine. And the way we can remember the SOX rule is that if you look at the Chesterton uniform, you can see the socks of the girls, but you can't see the socks of the boys unless their pants are too short. And so, when you think of SOX rule, think of the socks on the girl's uniform. So the SOX rule means that they're feminine. Okay? So if there was, like an example would be Rex, right? Rex ends in X, but is Rex feminine? No. The natural gender rule wins out. Rex means king. Kings are masculine, so the word Rex is masculine. Okay, so there is an example. Okay, the error rule just means that when the nominative singular ends in ER or OR, the word is masculine. And of course, unless that word means a feminine thing. I'll give you, there's an example down here of a word that that would look like it's masculine, except the natural gender rule says it's feminine. Okay, and then lastly, the Lancet rule tells you about neuter words. So it's when the nominative singular ends in any of those letters that make up the word Lancet. So L, A, N, C, E, or T. Those words are neuter words, and again, unless they mean something that's either masculine or feminine. All right, so let's take a look at these words that are all third declension words. You can look at this at the genitive singular, and you see that they all end in is, all the way down. They're all third declension words. So calix, calicis, or calix, calicis, if we're using classical pronunciation. So this word means chalice. Well, it doesn't have a biological gender, so that means I want to use the SOX, error, and Lancet rules. Okay? Calix ends in an X. The SOX rule says that it's feminine. All right, and again, this is important because that's going to tell you when you see calix, calicis, you can say, oh, that's a feminine word. That means I'm going to decline it like I decline lex legis, not like I decline flumen fluminis. Okay, and also if I'm using adjectives with calix, trying to describe a chalice, that way I know the kind of adjectives that I should use to describe chalice. So those are two reasons why it's important to know the gender. Miles militis, soldier. Okay, this is referring to somebody with a biological gender. Doesn't matter what miles ends in, I know it's masculine. Now, miles wouldn't be a feminine word by the SOX rule, but because the natural gender rule is applied first and it trumps the SOX rule, it's masculine. Vortex, vortices. Okay, well, vortex doesn't have a gender, ends in X, it's feminine. Uxor, uxoris means wife. Well, I know that's feminine. Okay, I'm going to have you try the rest and see if you can come up with the gender of those. All right. I'm going to give you the answers to these. Arbor, arboris. It's masculine. Doesn't have a gender, so I'm not going to use the natural gender rule. But ends in OR, and error means masculine. Imperator, imperatoris is a masculine. Crux, crucis doesn't have a biological gender, but X is part of sax, and that's feminine. Amor, amoris is going to be masculine. Love doesn't have a biological gender, but OR is part of error, and that's masculine. All right. The homework assignment for today is 2 exercises, but they're both very quick. That would be exercise 32 and exercise 33. They are both on page 37, okay? Exercise 32 is just a 2-word phrase in Latin. You translate it to English. And exercise 33 is just a short exercise of just 6 little, not even segments, just chunks of a sentence. And they're in English. You translate them to Latin. Okay. So exercise 32 and 33. Okay, let's do 32. I'll get you started. So lux veritatis. All right. So I can see right away that this is a third declension word. And this is a third declension word because it has an is ending in it. So veritable, I remember, means true. Veritatis is the genitive, so it's something of the truth. Or you could just say of truth. I don't know if we need a the yet. And then lux, or lux, I guess it has a macron, so I'll say it the correct way, lux veritatis. And lux is one of our new words. It means light. So I think light of truth sounds better, so I'm going to take the out. Light of truth for number 1. Number 2. So I want you to pay attention to how I'm thinking through these. So I'm trying to think out loud. Rex regum. Rex regum. So rex means, I can tell right away that's the nominative king. So king. And then it looks like I'm using the same word again, just a different form of it. So what is regum? I'm going to look. Oh, it's in the genitive plural, so that means of kings. So king of kings. And I guess we already did this. All right. So let me skip to exercise 33. So I'll do the first 2 of exercise 33. This is behind the king. Behind the king. Okay. So I know from the previous unit that post means behind, but what case does post take? Well, I remember post bellum. That means after the war. So the must mean it takes the accusative. Okay, so post reg, and then what's the accusative for the third declension? That's em. Post regem means behind the king. It could also mean after the king. All right, and then the next one is for men. And so the preposition for is propter. And so again, if we're trying to, if we're using a preposition, we have to pay attention to, okay, what case does that preposition take? And so propter takes and you can always look back again, make sure you get it right. Okay, propter takes the accusative. Okay, so what is the accusative of men? So we need the accusative plural because it says men, not man, for the man. So homin. Okay, and it looks like it's es with a macron. So propter homines would be for men. Propter homines. Okay, so those are, you only have 14 total between the two exercises, and you just got 4 of them done for you. So your homework is to finish the rest. All right. All right. I will see you on Monday. On Monday is when I will be back. So hopefully you are back as well.